Welcome to White Label American Podcast. This is a podcast that brings you bold, in-depth interviews with interesting people that are mostly immigrants taking down artificial walls one story at a time. This is a podcast that empowers immigrants to share their stories and listen to those of others. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to White Label American. Thank you all for joining us for another special episode. I'm honored to have today's guest with me here today. But before we get to today's guest, I would like to give a shout out to everyone who's been supporting us. We appreciate your support. And for new listeners, old listeners who just came back, everybody, after this episode, let us know if you enjoyed it. There are multiple ways to leave feedback. Number one, you can just do it on the website. Let us know via the comment section. Or you can send us an email through our contact button on the website. Or write an email through whitelabelamerican@gmail.com. We'd love to hear back from you. So with that being said, let's get to meet our distinguished guest today. I'm honored to have a video producer. He's a podcast creator with an awesome podcast that just kicked off with a great name, a great title. I'm like, man, I wish I had locked down a title like that, you know. And he's an occasional writer for the New York Times, Joy Source, HuffPost, and other publications that he says you've never heard of, but I've heard of a bunch of them. So if I have heard of them, I believe you have. Also, he loves jollof rice, which when you hear his background, then you'll be like, yes, it's a given. So we'll find out if he's into the jollof rice wars. Loves basketball, and well, there's one team that has made him cry, and you'll find out why that team has made him cry. So without much delays, welcome to the show, Kwesi Foli. How you doing today, my brother?
I'm fine, thank you. And that was an excellent intro. I really like that. Thank you.
You know, I'm available for
You're making my head that is already pretty big, even bigger. So
hey,
I appreciate that.
Well, if you want to hire me to introduce you, I'm down. You know, you can accept dollars, euros,
Yes.
British pound sterlings. But if the
CDs
the recession
on Naira.
continues in the UK, I won't accept that
Okay,
anymore.
yeah.
I accept gold, but not the type of gold that Senator Menendez accepted.
Oh, okay,
Just
yeah.
full disclosure, Nazi gold, not acceptable.
We don't want that.
Yes, I accept bitcoins too.
Crypto?
But, no, I don't accept the one Musk is
okay,
advertising.
got it,
But
yeah.
bitcoins, yes, I accept that. If it drops in value, we'll have to negotiate. I don't accept Naira.
No, okay.
That out
Or CDs. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
That's fine.
CDs has higher value than
Yeah.
Naira. So we can negotiate. I'm available to negotiate. Put
That's true.
Can't take life too seriously, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
So how are you today, my brother?
I'm good. This is I'll tell you what, this is a new experience for me because usually the roles are reversed. I'm doing the interviewing and then the other person the interviewee. So this is cool.
There you go. Just for a start, next thing you know, Trevor Noah is one interviewing you.
Mhm.
There's a prep for that.
Well, I mean, who knows when that will be? Because he's not at the Daily Show anymore. So,
He got his own podcast now. So
oh really?
yeah,
What's it called?
he got a podcast with Spotify.
I really do like Trevor.
I
Noah,
love
man,
his interview style.
and the way he thinks. So
I try to, he's one of my what now question mark with Trevor Noah.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's a
And,
Spotify podcast.
Does it cover news or is it?
It's same flow, usual Trevor style, the way he was interviewing on Daily Show. He has people from political leaders to celebrities. And then I know I haven't listened to the episode yet, but after the Grammys, he had people from the production of the Grammys and people who worked with him on the Grammys on that. So the last episode I was listening to was where he interviewed Kevin Hart
Okay.
yesterday.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. That comes full circle because I think Kevin Hart was his first guest on the Daily Show when he first
Oh,
started. So that was
okay.
his first guest.
Okay.
And I think maybe he probably said something about that. So it's nice to see that things came full circle. That's good.
Interesting. But anyway, well, I just brought that up so that in case you make it to Trevor first, just let him know that I'm here. You know,
and that
we're both in New York. You know, he can come on my show
Of
if he
course.
doesn't want me to come on his show. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Or he can, you know, or the other way around.
Yeah.
You know,
That works.
yeah,
Okay.
that works too.
So
So I just realized I forgot to put on my bracelet. I brought it, but it's somewhere. But we don't need to find out why I forgot to put on my bracelet. So let's dig deep into you.
Okay.
Let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So your name, Kwesi Foli. What's the meaning of your name and what's the story behind it?
So with Ghanaians, we have born days. So we have, names for the days that we were born. So Kwesi is means Sunday born.
Sunday. Okay.
Other ones. And the names that people know of Kofi, Kwame, Kweku, those
Kojo.
Yao. Kojo.
Yeah, I was born on Monday.
There you go. Those are all day names. So yeah, Kwesi. And then Kwesi Foli. Foli Folivi means in Ewe. That's my tribe in Ghana. We're like in the Volta region, which is like southeastern Ghana. Foli just means eldest born. So, and actually, if I'm going to even get deeper, when I was working at the Times, I noticed that there were a lot of people that had pen names, aliases, whatever you want to call it, nom de plume. And I asked one of the people, oh, hey, why is that? And he said, well, you want to keep your online profile or your online persona different than your like real life, right? You want to make sure that those things are separate. So Kwesi Foli is my name, actually. It's, but the name that a lot of people know me by, that in my real life, I guess, is Mawena. So Mawena is Mawena.
Mawena.
Yeah, that's right. And Mawena actually is also Epe. It means God's gift.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a time where my mom and my papa were debating, because they were like, my papa was like, well, he has to have a Christian name. And my mom said, God's gift? That's as Christian as you can get. We'll call it Mawena. Because, they wanted, Ghanaians, especially, even now, I guess, you have your Ghanaian name and then you have your Christian name, John, Jacob, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Nebuchadnezzar, something. And then, but she decided to name me Mawena, which means God's gift. But my alias or pen name is Kwesi Foli.
All right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So we've gotten a little it's a little spoiler into the background. We've had Ghanaian in there.
Yes.
But where can you introduce your place of birth? What your childhood was like.
So I was born in Madison, Wisconsin,
which is very far from Ghana.
Yes, which is very right in the Midwest. I don't really remember much from ages 1 through 7.
Okay.
But then when I was 7, my sisters and I, we all went to Ghana and we went to live in Accra with our aunt. And the reason for that was my parents and my mom especially wanted us to get to know our culture. She wanted to make sure that we could speak and understand Ewe. That that we just get acclimated with the culture. So, not being afraid to eat jollof or fufu or banku and to know what those things are. So when I was 7, I went to Ghana and I was there for around 3.5 years, and then I came back to the States, and then every other year we would go back to Ghana. Until college, basically, because then it just got too expensive. And my parents were like, if you want to go to Ghana, you should pay for it yourself. There it's really expensive. That's why I always get so jealous of my, Dominican or Jamaican friends because
Caribbean.
Caribbean because they can go back,
It's a lot.
a lot
They're
easier.
closer too.
And exactly. And I lament that Ghana Airways isn't around anymore because it was just a straight from either DC or New York straight.
That's that.
And now you have to take KLM or British Airways, so you have to go to Amsterdam or go to London and then come back down.
Well, I've heard a new trick now. It's Moroccan Air Morocco is the cheaper route, but you just have to you spend one night in Casablanca, and it's a great night.
I guess that's not a bad place to go. I mean, one time I missed my flight to Ghana, and long stupid story. But I missed my flight, so I went on Kenyan Airways, flew to Nairobi, was there for almost 24 hours, and then went to Ghana.
So you were just hanging out at the airport?
No. So yeah, I had a friend that was working there, so then I went to go meet them. And actually Nairobi, it was really cool because I've not been to any other place in Africa besides Ghana. So when I went to Nairobi and I saw another country in Africa is, I thought that was very cool. So
yeah, me too. I haven't been to other places in Africa. I just know a lot about what's happening.
Yeah.
And, I don't mind an experience like that. So, it's just interesting how you got to fly all the way to the other side.
Exactly.
And then from the other side, fly. So, at least with Air Morocco, it's coming through the north. You stop in Casablanca and then continue from there.
Straight
down.
to wherever. Okay.
So,
that's great.
At least if coming to West Africa, it's, and even if you're going to the east, it's still, you stop in the north and then continue the other way. So
the last time I was in Ghana was in 2019, like right before the pandemic, during the year of return.
Yeah,
which was beautiful. Good job, Ghana. So now I have that for my next trip to Ghana, which I hope to the heavens will be this year.
Okay,
we'll see. I gotta get my finances together.
We'll come back to that. And listeners, start getting ready to support.
That's
our brother here.
Get my Cash App and him already.
Yeah, support him. So, sticking with your childhood, when it comes to your favorite childhood memory, where would you say it comes from? If I had to ask you for your favorite childhood memory at this moment.
Yeah, okay. I think all of my favorite childhood memories were probably was when I was in Ghana, because especially in retrospect, thinking back now, Ghana, I felt truly at home there. I still do. And I'm trying to think of a specific one, but I guess I'm just thinking of being in Ghana. And and it probably has to do with food because I just like to eat.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
So it was probably one time where we were eating. It was probably kinky and fish or some food, and me and my sisters and my auntie and everyone is just there. The kids have their Malta Guinness. Hey. And then of course, so he's already reminiscing, and then of course the adults have the Guinness, right? And we're just outside and having fun, and maybe I have some rose-colored glasses on, and maybe I'm forgetting some cousins fighting or some people yelling at each other. But back then, of course, you don't notice that stuff because you're kids.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a good time to be there because now, and things as small as just your name, Kwesi, and there's the confusion. There's whereas in Ghana, Kwesi, they're like, okay, next or whatever. There's nothing to discuss. There's no discussion about it, and I feel like a fair amount of people cannot even comprehend especially in America where Jacob, Luke, John, whatever. There's no question about that because most places you go in the world are have those kind of names and have those kind of things. So it's something that I do not take for granted, being in Ghana and and having something as simple as just saying your name and people going about their business, because it's part of that. So that, I think that would be it.
So the 3 years you were in Ghana, you did schooling there, and then
Northridge Lyceum. Every day we would have an assembly, and we'd have to have and then we would say our prayer, and and then of course we'd go to class. We'd do the timetables, which I always did incorrectly. Hey, 2 times 2 for 3 5 times 5, 25. 6 times 6.
You guys stopped at 12?
Well, I would usually get to 7 times 7, and then I would say 50 or something. Hey, shim. So it was bad. Math is still not mine, and I think maybe I get triggered. So every time I hear numbers, I start doing one of those.
Yeah.
And then and that's. We had, the headmistress, headmaster, things like that. My sisters were prefects. I was not.
I was
definitely
a prefect in my later years, but in the early years, I wasn't.
Okay. See, you were good. You had sense.
In a different way. It was, I think, when I got older, it was, I was beginning to understand how to play a system. So it was, I think it was more of that. Looking back now.
Yeah, my friend, that was not me.
Yeah, it was, because by secondary school, I moved from Benin City to Ibadan, so that's heavy Yoruba land, main Yoruba land, and I was an outsider there. So that's where people are like, "Where are you from? Is that you a refugee?" I think I was a refugee, because a lot of kids who were from Liberia and Ghana. There were a few Ghanaians there, but there were most Liberians and Sierra Leoneans, and this was after the civil war in both countries. So they were like, "Oh, your name doesn't sound like people from Nigeria." I'm like, which is code for Yoruba. And then they know Igbo people. So they're like, "We don't know people like you." I'm like, "I'm from Bios," and they just created my state by carving it out of Rivers State. So you're like, "You guys all listen to the news?" They're like, "No." So I will have to refer to the old states. Like, "Oh, yes. So you're from there?" Oh, so I was like, I guess that was the beginning of feeling like, oh, this is what it must feel like to be from a minority within your own place.
Yeah.
So people are like, "Oh, you're not a refugee, you sure?" I'm like, "Well, what do you mean I'm not sure? I'm not sure I'm not a refugee." But so I always stood out, and then I guess there were some teachers who were like, "He's different, his English is different from the English we have here. A lot of kids don't speak English, so automatically he's a candidate to be a prefect." And I got punctuality prefect. Well, I wasn't like the smartest. It wasn't for being the smartest.
So you were always on time.
I was on time,
except for this podcast. Okay, got it. Understood.
Yeah,
understood. Got it. Okay. There are not too many Ghanaians around, so that's why you can make it on time. All right.
No,
understood.
The next school had some Ghanaians. I think there was only one in my school, but the next school had Ghanaians and Sierra Leoneans. There was one Liberian in my school, and he became a legend. Yeah, Leo Nelson. I tried looking for him one day on Facebook, and that's when I realized that it's difficult when Leo Nelson. That's his name. Yeah, thousands of Leo Nelsons.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's I give up.
Wow.
Man. So going from Wisconsin, they got cheese there, right?
Yes, they got cheese. They got beer. Harley Davidson. What else?
Nice winter.
If that's what you want to call it. Yeah, winter wonderland, whatever. People have always think that like I'm, Frosty the Snowman or something, that, because we've been in Wisconsin, that I should just be automatically acclimated. I never will be. I do not like the winter. I never will. I mean, even when I used to play sports, they would call me like a solar power battery, because when the sun was out, I was usually when I would have my best games. But when it was cloudy and or cold, It was different. And Wisconsin, we don't really have seasons. It's just it's just hot for warm for 2 months. Rest is just kind of winter and then winter. That's it.
Ooh.
There's no real
I've never been there, but it's like every time I've been invited to come over there, I just check the weather forecast and I'm like,
nope, can't do it.
yeah, you know what? I appreciate the invite. But I got a big house, and I'm like, that's why you have a big house there.
Yeah. No one wants to feel threatened by walking to their mailbox in the morning. Why do you want to go through that?
I will visit you one of these days.
Please, no. I'll be here. I'll be in New York. So
I'm referring to the person over there who's always trying to invite me to come over there. I got a big house. You have a great time. Back when I was single, you have a party. I'm like, I don't want people coming on what they call it, the sled. The 5-10 dogs pulling them. Like, nah, I'm good.
Like
I'm
Rudolph.
good,
Yes, that I get that. So, it's not. But I still have friends there, and
any family is still over there.
Oh yeah. My sister still lives there. But mostly everyone has left. So.
She's really down with the. She loves it. One person in the family. There's always one.
Apparently, there's always one, right? Yeah. So
always.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like me with New York love. I love New York weather too. Well, not the weather really, but I love New York. So
yeah,
the weather comes with it.
New York does not. Yeah, nothing compares to the Arctic in Wisconsin.
So from Ghana, coming back to the States, where did you end up in?
Yeah, so we came back to Madison because my parents just stayed in Madison while my sisters and I lived in Ghana with our auntie, and grandma was there and she helped take care of us. So then at some point we had to come back. Mm-hmm. I guess our parents were missing out because they had to keep working. They couldn't afford to just move to Ghana. So.
Except if you're like you got that government bread.
Oh, government, the right people, corruption.
That's right.
Anyway, so then we came back to Madison, and then that's where I spent the rest of my adolescence or whatever. And it was a real culture shock because in a very literal way, you move from one of the warmest places on earth to one of the coldest. And it wasn't just the weather, but, also the people too. And, that's not to say anything about racism or anything. That was there too. But just like I was saying with the name.
Yeah.
And not my pen name, I went by Mawena, and the amount of times I heard my weenie, my wiener.
Oh Lord, I can imagine.
Mohammed, and I said, it doesn't. Where did Mohammed come into the conversation? Well, it sounded different, so I thought that was the most different I could get. I was like, well, it's nothing close to that. So I had a really tough time.
Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean that was always the joke, right? Yeah, you can always say these names with, 20 consonants and no vowels, but then Mawena, like 3. That's it. You can't do that. So, it was tough. I did not like it. I did not like being back, but the good thing about Madison is that. So University of Wisconsin-Madison is known as a big research school. And because of that, there are a lot of scientists from Africa that came there.
Oh. Okay.
But unlike bigger cities like Chicago, New York, and places like that where you could have your own factions, right? So, you could have the Ashanti people here, and then you could have Ebe here, and then you could have Igbo, Yoruba, whatever. In Madison, there weren't that many Africans to begin with. So all the Africans would come together. So I always remember. Have you been to the Shrine in Harlem? You know that place? It's on like 137th and Adam Clayton, I think.
I don't think so, but I think I've gone past
of that kind of,
yeah.
So it's this African francophone bar, and I always remember I was dancing to a Senegalese song, the Imbalak song. I think that's what it's called.
did something there way before
See,
punching.
hey, if you're African and you're in New York,
Yeah.
at some point you will come across
Mhm.
the shrine. So I was dancing, and then this guy, came up to me, and I think he started speaking to me in Wolof, and I was like, I don't. And then he
Well, you got
was
the
like,
height too
yeah, oh yeah,
to
there you
pass
go.
the test.
And then he, yeah, that too. And then he looked at me, and then he's like, and then he started speaking French. I was
Next,
like,
which is next in line.
yeah, I was like, I don't know. But then he just straight up, he was like, but how do you know that dance? Because I was doing the Senegal. I was like, oh, because I used to be around people that would do it. Because again, in Madison, so then they would play. We would have parties and they would play everything. They would play some high life, and then they would play some juju music. Then they would play some dombolo. Then they play coupe décalé.
Hey.
They play everything, right?
Yeah.
So, but I came to realize, especially in New York, when you have so many, you can start making your own groups. So so then the Ashantis don't talk to the Evers, don't talk to the guys. It's very separate. So that's the one thing I really loved about Madison, that we all got to be together, and we got to try.
Yeah, you got to taste. You got the real taste of Africa.
Africa, yeah.
Because everybody being together, there's no I don't talk to North Africans. I don't talk to South Africans.
Exactly.
I don't talk to East. Hell no.
I mean,
my African is African. Only me is African.
Yeah.
But when you're in a bigger metropolitan area like this, then it's like, oh yeah, that can be only me.
Yes.
My people is me and my people.
Exactly. So
you form your clique easily.
Yeah, you form. Yeah, that's
I had something like that too when I was in Bahrain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I started an African movement. It was technically a movement, but I didn't really know what I was doing. But I was copying the Filipinos who I saw on base. Always, they had a network. I didn't even know the word network, and they always hung out together. But if one was in trouble, they took care of that person. And I was like, wow, why don't we have something like this? And I knew almost for some reason, every African was just connected to me somehow. No matter the rank, they just talked to me.
Yeah.
So I was having lunch with two Togolese who were, they were ex-military civilians, U.S. military civilians. And I brought the idea to them, and they were like, oh, yeah, we don't know other people. You seem to know everybody. If you can, I was like, okay, you guys have more resources than me. What about I bring the people and you guys provide the venue and we have a dinner and we meet each other?
Yeah.
Because the two of them had been on the island. Bahrain is very tiny, small, tiny place. They had been there for 5 years, working on the same base, which is one of the smallest military bases. For 5 years, they didn't know each other.
Wow.
Until I showed up, and I was like, yeah, you got a Togolese brother. He was like, Togolese here? I was like, yeah. And I called the guy. I was like, I'm talking to a Togolese right now. He said, there's a Togolese here. No, I've been here for 5 years. No, I was like, how long have you been here? He said, I've been here 5 years. And I put two of them. What? My brother? Ah! Yo, Raf, you must have lunch with both of us because you connected us. And I was doing that for South Sudanese. Well, people started calling me. I'll be getting phone calls like, oh, somebody said, you know Africans.
Yeah.
I just I'm from South Sudan.
Yeah.
I just arrived. They transferred me here.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we are out to meet. And we had a dinner party, organized food and drinks. Some ladies showed up, guys showed up, and hey, I play football, yeah. Somebody told me, okay, you're welcome. This one, hey, basketball, volleyball.
The connect, the plug.
That's how it started.
Perfect.
And with time, we started having clubs. We started going, some nightclubs even started calling, like, hey, come bring your party here, because people are not showing up when you guys meet. They don't come to the nightclubs. So that's how big it became. But eventually it died because two groups, when it started becoming big enough, then they started,
the factions.
The English versus the French.
But
Ethiopians always had their thing there. But Ethiopians were brought in, they came, and, but it was great seeing everybody talking because, one time, what they call it, the visa thing for the human trafficking tied to your visa in the Middle East. So there was a guy who met, and that's still like one of the things I'm happy about that I did over there. The guy came and was like, man, I didn't know about what it was like to come here.
Yeah.
He's a graduate in Nigeria. Somebody just said, you want to go overseas? Sign up. He didn't ask, where are you taking me? He just signed up, paid like $2,000.
Oh, wow.
This was back in 2010. And he ended up in Bahrain, washing cars, sleeping in a room with like 10 other people. It's just like, man, I want to go back, man. I want to go. I just, but I don't have any money. They pay me peanuts here. I'm like, okay. I held a meeting with a bunch of guys, and they were like, the guy wants to go back. Yeah, everybody just donated money. All right, I'll buy a ticket for him and some change. But for our parties, he did security. He like, you want to do security for the party, so they give you extra, and they just something like that. And I was like, yeah, this is what it can be. It can help people.
That's
But
the
until
power
the fight broke out, and
of community.
just before I left, I think they knew that I was leaving, about to leave. So who will be that person to take over from me? If I were to go back and redo it again, I think there'll be more structure to it, because somebody had brought that up, that there should be like a formal organization and stuff like that. But back then I was much younger. I was like, man, we good. We're
just trying to party.
We're gonna have fun,
Have
right?
fun.
We all don't. But now I know. I look back, I'm like, okay, it made sense why that guy brought the idea and stuff like that. But yeah, it was people really came together. I still have the photos. I look at them every now and then. The ones, so don't post that on Facebook. My wife in America will see.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
So yeah, it was. But there was a period for almost a year. There was no South Sudanese not talking to Ghanaian. Ghanaian is not talking to Senegalese. All that was paused for a year, where club owners were actually calling. I'm a Brazilian. I own this club. Bring your party to my club. How you get my number? Oh, don't worry about that.
Don't worry.
You get the club. Do you want all the drinks, sales of drinks will go to you guys? I could have gotten in trouble, because my master chief called me one day to a meeting. There were chiefs sitting down. How much are you getting for this party? I said, how do you guys know about this?
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it for the money. Now if I will go back, I'm going to do it for the money, because I should have been getting paid.
All that work you were putting in.
Yeah, but it was just great to see, I was just happy to see people come together, meeting people from Libya, South Africa, everywhere. I met people from all over the continent. I was like, wow, just from a lunch meeting and just saying, yeah, I can bring people together. And it worked.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, just talking to you, obviously you're one of the most charismatic, but I mean, Niger people, you guys all have that charismatic gene in you anyway. So
I don't know.
I'm not surprised by that.
I don't know,
bringing
man.
people together. Whether you like to or not, by force. This is just going to happen.
So, coming back to your story, so did your whole experience with the African community did make you decide to go to university also in Wisconsin?
No, so the main reason why I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison, I think it's still going on. There's a program called People Program.
People Program.
Yeah, it's what do you call it? Abbreviation? No. Like FBI, whatever. It means pre-college enrichment, something. I can't remember, but basically it was for people of color and disadvantaged youth.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were in the program starting in middle school, if you stuck with the program, if you got into UW Madison, then they would give you a scholarship for free.
Oh.
A tuition that paid all your tuition for 5 years.
Okay.
So that was the main reason. I mean, I wasn't really smart enough to get into other schools anyway, outside of the state. So my parents were like, look, just get in. just get into college, please. So yeah, I was able to get into UW Madison because of that. And the People Program were really great at fostering a community of people of color, getting to know each other, because UW Madison is a PWI, like a very, very white college.
Space.
I mean, at one point they had a brochure or some kind of pamphlet where they had to insert a black person in, because they took a picture and it was just all white people on the cover. So they literally had to put a black person in.
GOP,
so just to say, hey, we have
the GOP interns.
We have one.
Interns at Congress when they had that picture.
Yeah.
It was like,
It was basically like that. They're like, hey, we have some black people in there.
Man.
You know, you go to like a football game, which I never went to because one, it was too early, and two,
How
it
early
too
was
cold.
it? I've never been to a college football game.
Yeah, so usually they would start at 11. I know I'm saying early, but there was such a culture of drinking. Not to say I don't drink.
Yeah.
I definitely drink, but it's just beer, which I've
it's too
never
early
really
for
been
me,
much
man.
of a beer person.
Even for 11. Yeah,
I have the
that's too early.
select or the African ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heineken, Guinness, and then me personally, Corona. But like Heineken and Guinness are my thing.
Yeah, even those are still. I mean, after I've drank Star back home, I've drank Hop. I mean, it's come on.
Can I tell you something?
What?
I broke my heart because I always thought Star was Ghanaian, Star beer.
Hey,
And they would always have the commercials. Hey, Star beer, check it out, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. I think I was at one of these Brooklyn Buka. I think.
Buka,
Yeah.
Star, and Gouda.
And then
I don't
seeing-
recommend their food. But yeah.
Okay, I didn't say that, but I was looking.
No, this podcast never recommends.
Oh,
food,
okay.
yeah. Don't do it to yourself.
Don't do it. don't bring us. Okay, yeah. And I was looking down the menu, and then I see Star beer underneath Nigerian. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Mm-hmm.
Star is Nigerian? Yeah. Anyway, I was heartbroken because, in fact, my mom was known with because she had two other friends, and they called them Star beer number 1, number 2, number 3, because that was their drink.
Wow.
So to me, I was like, oh, Star, Ghanaian, boom. No, it's Nigerian. Anyway.
I always thought Hap
Suya
was
is
one I
another
always
one.
mistook for Nigerian too until I saw Hap I was in Norfolk and I saw Hap in the commissary, which is like a giant beer. They have the giant beer section. It's like a giant cooler where you can walk in. You can't spend 5 minutes in there because you freeze up. But it's just, I was so happy. I was like, oh man, look at that. U.S. Navy got Hap here. Wow, you guys are really inclusive. Man, I was just so happy. And my boy, like, yo, Irish beer? And that's when I thought about it. I was like, wait, the logo is the same as Guinness.
Yeah.
Oh.
Irish. There you go. Yeah.
That's when it dawned on me. Like all these years, I've been claiming Hap as Nigerian. Like, oh man,
It was disappointment. So anyway, yeah, People program is and I'm really glad to have been in that program because I made some good friends there, and then fostered a community of Black and brown people at that college. Because there were times where, yeah, you wouldn't see one, but you knew you had that safe space to go to and be with other people in your community. So, yeah, that's the reason why I went.
So when you ended up in college, did you go to study one of the big 5 that our parents love us to go into?
So I always remember telling my papa that I wanted to study English, and he said, but Mawina, you already speak English. And look, Rafa, if I'm being honest, and they always say this, all right? My mom will always say, look, you've never been my age, but I've been your age. So listen to what, and we would always tell them, please. But yeah, English, because there's been some struggles.
Yes,
there's been some fights.
Yes.
And, that STEM education looks really good right now.
Yeah, I hear you.
Science, technology, engineering, mathematics.
I hear you.
And they tried so hard. And at one point, I was considering going to law school, and I did even this pre-college law program thing in Nebraska during the summer. But and people always say, you like to argue, so you should be a lawyer, as if that's the only requirements that are necessary for being a lawyer.
They skip the reading part.
You know what I mean? Like that's not how that works. Anyway, but I am still grateful that that I went to college and I did, because I've honestly, especially what we've come to know about how the educational system works here and how, much of a, pyramid scheme it can be. Education is important.
Yes.
And what I've come to realize is that I love to learn, but I don't necessarily love the institution of learning. And I think that's really been how my life has been. Like, I think I'm spiritual, but I do not like the institution of spirituality, which is religion.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So whenever something becomes commodified and is used with an agenda, that's when I don't love it. And I think that had always been my issue, is that I like to read and I like to learn new things, but if I don't see how it's, helping in my life, or they're telling us, hey, do this, do that, for some arbitrary reason, my mind kind of rebels against it. I don't know. Hence the struggles in my life. So.
Hey, you're not alone in the struggle, brother. I can relate to that. However, I'm just going to say this as a form of inspiration.
Yeah.
Just because you studied English doesn't mean. I met somebody just before the pandemic at a networking event in the city, and she was like, it was some networking event, and I forgot, she worked with one of them museums, one of the bigger museums. And after she had been going on about what she does, and I was like, wow, that sounds interesting, which is more like inventory of some of like the pricier art stuff.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, what did you study?
Mm.
Oh, she's like, oh, you don't really go to university to study what I do, but I studied English.
Mm.
And I was like, damn, you get like you getting 6 figure for that? For studying English? And it was more like, just networking. She said it was
What did she do?
networking. And that's how she got the job that she has. And I was like, God dang. Like, oh, okay.
What's the job?
I don't even know what you call it, but
Okay.
it's more like, to me, it sounded like inventory, because I was like, that sounds like one of the jobs I did in the military. I have an inventory supply chain background, but she makes sure like the most of the art stuff coming in, she has an inventory of it. It's in good condition, and she communicates with other with art dealers, galleries, and all that. So I guess that's where the English comes in.
Sure. Okay.
I guess I'm like, I can write too.
Yeah.
But okay. So it didn't sound like. I guess that's why she said I did not go to university for what I do. But when she said she studied English, I know the whole group of us were there were just like, what?
I think there are just some people like yourself that are just masterful at networking, and I don't think I am. I think I'm too awkward, and I'm too I can be too much in my brain sometimes to look at the bigger picture and just make connections. And also,
you remind me of my good friend Scott.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. He does some. He went to Colombia, and once went to a job fair, and I spoke to the type of job he was looking for. He was doing something, and I walked around, and I was, oh, he got that qualification. I spoke to one of the guys, and I brought him. So he didn't realize I already talked to the guy on his behalf, and he started like over talking, and the guy was like, you know what, man, you should thank this guy that you got friends like this guy. Just give me a resume.
All right, so Rafa, that's your way of saying that I've been over talking during this podcast.
Don't say yourself short, man. That's all. That's all. Just believe.
Yes,
believe. I seen it. I seen it in you. You got it. So, how do you think your diverse background as someone born in the U.S., raised in Ghana, and by the way, let me go back. I also do that sometimes too. So don't just think like I kill it all the time. No, I think we all have. I think those of us with creative genes, we got this. Sometimes we just overthink it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to do a better job of once in a while, if somebody recognizes and says, "Hey, I like what you're doing," hey, I'm like, hey, if you want to give me the money, give me. I'll take it. That's it. Just go with that. Don't start overthinking and say, I don't know if I'm qualified. I'm like, there are too many scammers out there getting paid. I watched Tinder Swindler. That guy got paid. And I'm like, God damn, I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
There are too many scammers. So you deserve to get paid. I deserve to get paid. And we're not
That's
scamming
fair.
anybody.
Yeah. Oh well,
We're giving them good stuff.
that's
So,
good. I'm glad that you're going against the Nigerian prince stereotype. So that's good.
I'm still okay to be a Nigerian prince. If you want to give me the money, I'll take it.
There you
Put
go.
it to a good cause.
There it is.
In your name.
A good cause, aka my bank account.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll dedicate a school to be built in your name.
Right.
The school will be built in the future.
Sometime.
There's a brother online who said he's building a school. Many women gave him money. He's a Dr. UMAR.
Yes. Yeah. I've heard of that guy too.
So, how do you think your diverse background as someone born in the U.S., raised in Ghana, working in various creative fields has contributed to your unique voice in podcasting? Well, in the whole creative genre, like what? In fact, let me rephrase that. How did your unique background, your diverse background, lead to you embracing your creative side?
I think first, because of course I would love to say that I'm so special, but
You are special.
Yeah, oh, thank you. But I think there are a few people like me that also have that kind of background. But I think what I've come to realize is to be thankful. I think that's really the difference. When I was younger, I used to hate myself with those kind of differences, because when I was in Ghana, I didn't feel American, or I didn't feel Ghanaian enough.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was here in America, I didn't feel American enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to see that as a curse, that duality. And there were times when I would try to, stomp one of those identities out instead. But as I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate those two identities, because just as much as I am a Ghanaian, I am also an American. And and honestly, the thing that my mom could use to just shut me up, she's like, "See, you're so American now. Look at you. I'm so American." It could be anything.
Yes.
The way I wear my shoes, the way that usually it would be like, if I hadn't if I just turned my eyes, see?
Yep.
The disrespect. Look at you, so American. It used to kill me. But now I've just come to appreciate those identities. So that's why I think that was one of the main reasons why I created the podcast African Time, because I wanted to learn how to embrace different identities, but still recognizing the differences. So, there are just so many examples, but just as, hey, we might have fufu in Ghana, there's eba in Nigeria. I know even in Jamaica, they have dokno, which is like kinke, like kind of the food.
Oh.
And they pronounce it in a different way, but it's still that. Whether
I never knew that.
Yeah.
I just found out that Guineans have their own swallow too.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I stumbled on the opening day of Afghan, a sister who I have to hit up. She had told us to go watch Afghan at a Congolese-owned restaurant in Midtown. And
where is that?
Yeah, she forgot to tell us that the restaurant opens at 5:00. Not.
What's the name of the restaurant?
Man, I forgot, because
it wasn't.
The time was wrong.
Oh, okay.
Afghan was 3:00.
Yeah.
We get there and it's inside. I've gotten the hotel. It's inside one hotel, and I was like, oh man, well, when is this restaurant opening? There's nobody there. She was like, oh, they're gonna open before the game. I was like, yeah, it's inside a hotel. There's not one person hanging out here. The hotel staff said, they opened at 5. That's when somebody will show up. I was like, man, it's a setup. So there was a pub nearby. I had somebody with me who was a white guy. He was like, oh, let's go in there. So we're going there, asked at the pub. The guy looking at me like I'm speaking French. And I was just like, yeah, this guy's they're not going to show the game here. They were showing all manner of soccer matches. But the white guy's not trying to yell at him, man. I was already walking out. So as soon as I stepped out, I think we were on 25th or 35th Street.
Mhm.
I noticed there were a lot of bicycles, like delivery bicycles. And I just saw a little signpost saying, I think B&B West African Buffet. And I was like, in Midtown? Huh. It's not, it's like a tourist area, business, financial. I didn't expect to see a West African buffet here.
Yeah.
So I stood at the door and looked inside. And like the way buffets are set around, that's what it looked like.
Mhm.
And somebody spoke French to me out there. Like, I guess he was trying to go in. So I stepped aside and I was like, I'm going in.
Mhm.
So my boy I was like, you don't mind being the only white guy here, right? He's like, no. Okay, come on.
Should never be a problem,
So,
but yeah. So yeah.
He walked
Got
in
it.
because I was going to leave him. I was like, okay, bye-bye.
Yeah.
That's all I was going to tell. I'm not going out with you. I want to
Yeah.
watch my game. It was like 10 minutes to the start of the game. So, yeah, good luck. That's all. You go find where you watch the game.
Yeah.
So I went in. All their TVs were on French inside, but the one TV was not showing the game yet. So I asked the guy, and he was like, "Oh, you're gonna put the game on." So I thought it was gonna be in French, which I don't mind. But he put the game on English, and I was like, "Okay." After the game, I was like, "I'm getting food." I only bought a drink, and when I checked the buffet, they had like our stews and like there was peanut stew, which I knew was peanut stew, but there were some other stews that looked like our Dikan Kong, Afang soup, which most of the vegetables, spinach style soups in Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they had something similar to that. They had like the fufu type, and I was like, huh. But they didn't have labels for what the food were called. So I just bought some stuff and I went and tried it home. Tasted delicious. That was the first time I've seen, because I've been to other Guinean, Senegalese style buffets, and I never seen a swallow there.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I was like, oh wow, they do have swallow. But I was like, why wouldn't they have swallow?
Yeah.
You know?
So that's I just like that. Of course, especially being in New York and coming across the people you do, and you see all the ways that things are similar but different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, of course, in human nature, or really amongst people in power, they usually try to use our differences to divide us.
Yeah.
Whereas with my podcast and just my general motto in life is to use those differences to unite us.
Hi, everyone. If you're new to the podcast or a returning listener and you enjoy what we are doing here, did you know that you could enjoy more of our content and also support our work via Patreon? For as little as $3 per month, you get access to loads of bonus content that you'll find nowhere and be the first to the latest news. Don't miss out. Go to patreon.com/White Label American Pod or just search for White Label American Podcast on Patreon. Patreon. You also do video production. How did you get into that? And can you walk us through your creative process when producing a video from conception to final edit?
Well, I guess it depends on what the video is, but
like I'm not a video production. I don't really know anything about video production other than just I'm that nosy neighbor, just peeping from outside the window. So
I guess
the question is framed like that.
When African Time was in its first iteration, because I kind of started it a little bit after college, which is now 10 years ago.
Oh wow!
It used to be we actually wanted to make African Time into a movie, so we would interview different people,
okay,
that I knew, and we would have different topics and conversations for them. Eventually, we decided that it would become a web series because then we could chop up the talking, because it was like a talking head interview, and then we can chop up the different ones and have them be like that. So I've kind of learned how to use Final Cut. Not really. I'm by no means an expert at it, but I had a friend of mine that did more of the video stuff. So this is all to say, you can be a videographer just like a director is not necessarily like the cinematographer or the guy that is checking. It's just about imparting your vision or what you want to be done. And I guess you have to be really good at delegation. So like knowing how to delegate certain tasks to certain people that can do the logistics and kind of, because I personally I do not. Yeah, I'm glad I have a very basic knowledge of Final Cut, but I don't like to do it.
Okay.
So
So we
I'm
have, we
very
have something in
happy
common.
paying other people to be like, hey, could you cut it here? Could you cut it here? But I think the most important thing is just to know how to communicate what you want, and how to get someone else to realize your vision.
Awesome. Okay. Remind me after this recording. There's an idea that if you are interested, I might be looking for, I might come on board as a partner, or you might, whichever way. There's a potential partnership.
I'm a fan of ideas.
It's tied to your original idea, your original plan for African time. I
Yeah.
think you already have the title, so it could be, it could work with the video aspect of it. But yeah, just remind me after the recording.
I got you.
So how has you going back to writing, how has writing for different publications enriched your skills as a writer and a storyteller?
That's a good question. Uh, it is important to whatever task or whatever thing you're doing. It is important to do it, and I know that sounds almost painfully elementary, but it's true. If you want to be good at something, you have to do it a lot.
Mm.
And but I guess in my specific case, one, knowing it's a skill to know how to write for different publications, because different publications prioritize different things.
Can you give an example?
So for example, I wrote for The Undefeated about Shirley Chisholm. And actually, they're not called Undefeated anymore. I think they're called Anscape, which is a very interesting name, but whatever. So I wrote for them, and it was like kind of a profile about Shirley Chisholm, because it was in the wake of Hillary's announcement for president. And basically Hillary was trying to come off like she was the first woman to run for president. And I was like, no, that's not true. So, and then of course people are shocked that of all people to do it, it's a black woman. Actually, now that I think about it, Netflix is coming out with a film called Shirley with Regina King, I think. And anyway, Shirley Chisholm is someone that everyone should know, because she was an amazing, powerful woman from. Her parents are from Barbados, but she's from New York. Anyway, but they wanted me to do it in like a profile style, interview people. So there were just certain editorial choices that they wanted, versus a place like HuffPost, which I wrote more like op-ed, like opinion pieces, and doing that. And then New York Times, which is kind of a mix of both, because for the Times I wrote about these guys that, what are they called? Everyday people or Everyday Africa. Anyway, they took pictures of, they would just take pictures of Africans doing everyday things, because apparently it is a revolutionary idea that Africans aren't just interested in famine, disease, and war and poverty or something like that. They just took pictures of people doing regular stuff, and people are like, oh my God. Anyway, so I interviewed those guys and things. So you get to learn how different editors work and what people want, and then depending on the topic, you also get to learn how to kind of change your voice. So, for example, for a publication like Nerdist, which has to do with like Marvel and DC and things like that, I'm not going to write in a very, I don't know, didactic and very straightforward way. There'll be, put a little humor, put some little jokes in there. But on the same token, I wouldn't write that way for the Times, because the Times has a very specific way that they want to communicate to their audience. So all of that is to say, allowed me to know how to adapt to different situations. And then once you do that with writing, because I believe writing is the base for everything, whether you're talking about movies, TV,
Yeah.
it always starts on the page.
On the page.
Even though these execs and these people try to invalidate or try to downplay the importance of writing, writing is where everything starts.
True.
You know, you want to shoot something, you want to do any kind of create, that's cool, but it's always writing that is the beginning. It's always the base, it's the fundamental.
I agree with you there. So,
Just saying.
what would your advice be to someone who at one point in time used to be able to write a lot, well, mostly about soccer and sometimes social commentary. I wouldn't recommend his social commentary back then. He wasn't. He was on a different. Maybe he was on the red pill back then. But we won't
Right.
worry about that.
Right.
People evolve over time, you know. But the person seemed to just one day lost the ability to type.
Uh-oh.
Not just type, but just couldn't, try to write, and it's just like, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working. And since then it's been difficult to just write consistently. So if the person is like, I want to write, I want to write, I want to write, and it's like there's ideas, there's so many things. The person is trying to get back to writing. How will you, what will you tell that person?
Uh, First, don't listen to me. But just kidding. What advice do you failed right? Anyway, I'm just kidding.
Welcome to my
You
TED
must be
Talk.
seeing that self-deprecation is a way of me analyzing, processing my trauma. Anyway, the story, the thing that I think of is, so when I was younger, I used to write a lot of poetry,
Mm.
and my papa is a very like he's a man of a particular generation that saw it from Ghana and of a very certain era that kept all emotions heavily bottled in,
Yeah.
and was just about results. Now, I can understand why, especially when you're moving from, your place in Ghana and you come to a country and you have to support that there isn't a lot of time for, creativity and any of that stuff. But he's a very business minded and very straight laced kind of guy. But he saw that I had a talent for poetry, and I had won like a writing thing, and I'd got into our like local magazine. So one day, he just, I think before he went to work or something like that, he was like, "Hey, Mawina, yeah, I want you to write a poem." I was like, "Write about what? I don't write about poverty. Just write it."
Oh wow.
And yeah, and I was, there, and I was like, what, 12, 13, whatever. So I wrote something, and he comes back and he sees it and he's like, "What is this?" I was like, "Papa, you asked me to just write. That's not how it works." And he was like, "What do you mean? You are a writer. Just write." And of course, back then, I didn't have the way to articulate what I was trying to say, and I say this to, or I've thought this a lot. The way to start writing is, at least for me, so I'll speak for me specifically, is to have some sort of inspiration. That's why I wasn't able to really write about poverty or something like that, because there was no truth, or there was nothing in me that wanted to write about that.
Mm.
So I believe that when you are ready to write, or when you will write, you will write. And if you're not ready to write, then you won't. Now, if it's coming from a place of fear, or it's coming of a place of insecurity, as in, oh, these words, then that's a different thing. And I think with that, I think it's just best to just write. And then eventually those words will start spilling, and then it would be like a waterfall. But for me is just about inspiration. What inspires you? What is it that you want to communicate? And of course, and most of the time, at least when it comes with me, I write what I want to write about. And then the fine tuning and the editing and the pitching comes when you want it to, disseminate that to the masses. But I think in the beginning, it's important for you to just do what you want to do and to just start writing. And then after that, you can figure out, because until there's any words on the page, that's what writer's block, that's what they refer to. Writer's block is not actually just writing. It's just you not putting anything on the page. So my suggestion is to just start there. Just start writing whatever. And then before you know it, that inspiration or that feeling will start to come.
And he said, don't listen to him.
I mean,
I'm
a man of contradictions.
What a TED talk he gave there. What a TED talk. So you sure you haven't given TED talks before?
I have not. We don't want to do that to,
we need to go
to
give
the people.
One. So let's step away from writing and creating. Let's come to before I come to that, there's you're a basketball lover.
Yes.
Who's your basketball team?
The Bulls.
College or professional?
Oh, no. I do not care for college. And I know people, it was so annoying, especially in college, college, they play with heart. They play with such
yes.
I don't care about that. I truly.
And if you are mad that I said that, first go and buy my merch before you complain or donate. We accept donations. You know the type of donations I accept. The donate button is on the website. Yeah,
there you go.
That.
But, I don't care for that. I don't care. The NBA is the best basketball league. These are true professionals that do things that you've never seen before, and I cannot hope to do, because those are the best of the best. I don't care how much heart or how much spunk or moxie or whatever word you want with these college kids. It doesn't matter. Now, when I went to UW, yes, I cared a little bit, but once you leave, I'm not really interested in that. And if I'm being honest, there's just a twinge, a little racist twinge when they talk about the NBA versus college, when they start using those
sports, when it comes to that college. Yeah. It means I love them working for free. It's slavery.
Yes, right. That kind of stuff. Yes.
Get out of here, that nonsense.
So, but my team is the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, Chicago Bulls.
And also, just to be clear, it's not because of Michael Jordan.
What?
No,
really?
It's not. No.
You're a diehard? So you're legit Bulls fan?
Yeah. Because it was actually after Jordan left, and I started becoming, and then Derrick Rose was kind of making his way through Simeon Rice, but it was around, Luol Deng used to play for the Bulls.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Ben Gordon played, sharpshooter, Kirk Heinrich. Those are because they were just a really scrappy. This, again, it was a place that was kind of languishing, and I love those kind of teams where it's just a lot of people that you might not know of or really think of, but were really trying their best. And then, of course, Derrick Rose came on the scene, and then Joakim Noah and all those guys were playing, and they're just fun. So, and they're kind of the same way now with DeRozan, and Levine is, I don't know what's happening with him, but we had a really good chance to be really good last year because Lonzo Ball, Vucevic was there, Levine, DeRozan. Kobe White is coming up. But of course, then the ball got injured, and then things kind of just fell by the wayside.
The balls seem to getting injured.
Yeah, but we're still there, and so yeah, I'm a Bulls fan.
I keep it simple. I'm a LeBron fan. Anywhere he is, I'm there.
I'm a LeBron fan, even though my admiration of him has kind of gone a little bit down but I should have known. Anytime anyone becomes a billionaire, they have some other interests that obviously I can't really understand or comprehend.
I don't try to understand it. I'm just a LeBron fan on the court.
That's fair. I completely understand that.
It's not my I'm not trying to. I'm already bald, and I don't need the extra. I don't need to lose more stuff.
That's right. So I'm a fan of LeBron James as well, but just
all right.
It's gone down.
The question I've been avoiding asking you all this time,
Uh-oh.
have you recovered from Afghan 2023?
No.
No?
No. Look, are we having the Black Stars conversation now?
Yeah, that of course.
So what would you like to know? Because
Okay, before we get into
all right, yeah, there you go. Yes.
let me start from a happy place.
See, I'm already getting allergic. Like, my eyes are itching. Like, I'm already feeling I'm feeling stressed.
All right.
See?
Let me start off. Let me land you softly.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your first Black Stars moment? Your first the first time you became a Black Stars fan, like the day you became a Black Stars supporter.
Abedi Pele.
Oh, that's
And
way back.
Yeah, way back. I mean, and when I was young, I don't really have memory, but I knew that he was one of the greatest soccer players, and oh, Ghana. Anyway, yeah, you see, the energy is already coming down. Like I told you, like once this starts happening, then I'm gonna. But so Abedi Pele was just one of these, amazing football players that meant a lot. And back then, there was the Zidane, there's the Ronaldo, but when you're in Ghana and you have one that's, in my opinion, was on that, on that level, he was great. So that's especially of a player, or a Black Star. But yeah, of course, when Ghana started really coming up with, because we had our own kind of golden generation, if you want to say, with Essien and Kevin Prince Boateng and Stephen Appiah, Sawajan, like all these
That
great
midfield was
right. All these great players. Kingsley,
of
the
that
ball
team
guy.
was just that 2010 midfield was man.
So yeah, Ghana, and then of course there was this little rivalry between the U.S. and Ghana because we were always knocking them out. You remember?
From me, I don't count that as rivalry. But
right?
I need my
and
supporters.
I even forgot my Sule Muntari.
Sule Muntari.
So we had a real squad, and 2010 was just amazing. I mean, people were complaining about vuvuzelas. I loved them.
Man, every
time I heard it,
I tell them, get out of here, that nonsense.
I love it. Blowing
it.
that. It was, Bafana was there. We're all cheering. And then we get to Uruguay, we get to Ghana, and everyone in Africa is pulling for us. And we're in South Africa. The first one, 2010, we're about to do it. And then this cretinous, useless piece of
man,
Suarez. I cannot.
It's coming to Miami.
Good for him. He will probably bite somebody else's ear off. Honestly, Suarez has almost become like a curse word in God. Like every time you hear that guy's name, it just starts to make your ears bleed.
Oh man,
that's how you know that when Suarez did that. That's how you know that our enemies are prospering because of that guy. I'm upset now. Anyway,
man.
So and then once that happened, it was just like a curse had come down, and then Ghana started going down. So then when we were in Brazil, we had the U.S. scored on us within 50 seconds or something. Who lets that happen? And then I think at some point we had to airlift money. Then they kicked out Prince and or something like that.
Yeah, Prince and who got kicked out? Muntari?
Charlie. It's such a, and I mean, if I'm going back to 2010, because I know I'm blaming a lot on Suarez, but Asamoah Gyan, how can you just, you're a professional footballer. How do you just scale the whole thing like, Charlie, just keep on your foot. That's it. We would have been, it would have been done. Then we would have gone against, I think, the Netherlands
Netherlands.
Netherlands, and we would have had a chance.
Oh yeah, you would,
because look, Spain was that was they were going to win. But the Netherlands, we had a chance. We could have beat them. See, you got my voice high now. See,
look, I would say something controversial. It's always controversial when I'm talking to Ghanaians, but for me, after that game, I never got mad at Luis Suarez. It was I understood everything that happened. I supported Suarez for what he did. Yeah, I was fine with him.
I'm not responding to that. I don't know what else to say.
He did what I expect.
That is traitorous.
Yeah, you got to save your team. You took one for the team, but.
Who are you supporting? The African or
who you think I was supporting? I was supporting Ghana. I was supporting Ghana
so
against USA.
Why would you?
Some of my sailors were mad at me. They're like, "How can you be wearing United States Navy uniform and you're not supporting USA right now?" I said, "My friend, get out of here. You know how to play football." If it was basketball, it's different. You know how to play football. Yeah, what are you talking about? Get out of here.
You Nigerians, you guys actually revel in our.
No, I'm not. I got Ghanaian.
And our sorrow and despair. That's why you're cackling like this.
I got Ghanaian. Hey, I'm tired. My family ties is related to Ghana, so I can't. I don't. Look, let me make you happy. Senegal '92 semifinals. Nigeria against Ghana. That's my first Afghan. The whole house is, we're the house that had one of the few houses with generator on our street. And so most people came to watch the match at our house. And a lot of people came to watch the match at our house. And my elder brother was like, he came in, he doesn't like football. And he's like, "What y'all doing? Who's playing?" He said, "Nigeria and Ghana." He says, "Ghana win." You can see they were like, if it's not Madame's son, the people, the attacks that would have been coming. And he just walked away. But I was a kid, so I couldn't say what I wanted. I was loud, but I was like, why are we supporting? Why are we picking one side to win? I was okay with anybody winning. So when Nigeria scored, I was like, yeah. When Abedi Pele scored to tie the game, I was like, yeah. When Dati Lamte scored the winning goal, I was like, inside me, I was like, yeah. Anybody scored, I'm like, yeah. It was, hey, we are winning. We should be winning because we had KK in the fridge. So after the game, I'm going to eat KK. So, yeah, I'm like that. So all the stuff people are doing now, like when they're just attacking Ghanaians, I'm like, I can't be attacking because I'm from Ghana winning. But if like both of them are facing each other, I can tell you who's going to win. I can weigh both teams up and tell you who's better.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Uruguay.
Yeah,
foreign invaders on African soil.
No,
versus Ghana.
If you know the history of football, Uruguay was the first team to bring black players to the World Cup. So I always respect Uruguay because they forced Brazil to even start including black players in the national team. So I have a soft spot for Uruguay.
Was the first to do that?
Yes, they were the first. They brought black players to the World Cup before Brazil.
So before Pele?
That's how Brazil. That led to Brazil eventually bringing Pele.
So I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's part of the but I trust me, I was frustrated with Suarez doing that, but I understood at the same time. But our man Asamoah Gyan changed his style of penalties for that last minute kick, and he struck the post, and I was like, dang it.
It would. I mean,
because Ghana could have won the game still.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and we had we would have been the first African team.
The most annoying one for me was this last World Cup where Ghana spent the whole time talking about revenge against Uruguay. I'm like, why are you wasting your time? Uruguay wasn't talking about that. Just go get your win. They lost woefully, and I'm like, that's more painful. So, but I don't want to. It's not a matter of rubbing it in. But
that's no. That's not what you were doing.
No. I'm not interested in that. My own issue right now is, to you, what is the solution for your Black Stars? Because Black Stars, when I started following AFCON, Black Stars were the most successful African team in Africa when it came to winning Nations Cup. And then Egypt caught up to them, and then Egypt overtook them, and then now Egypt is way ahead, and then Cameroon has overtaken Ghana. And if Nigeria had won this last one, Nigeria would have caught up to Ghana. So you have Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire now behind Ghana. So what would you like to see for your black stars right now? Because now there's some soul searching. There's going to be a new coach. Do you want a white European coming in, or do you want somebody from Brazil coaching, or what do you think the solution is?
I think, as is the case with a lot of things when it comes to Africa, is to believe in our way of doing things and our way of winning. Everyone, so, and I think of the French winning the last World Cup, or no,
Or two
there
World
won't be
Cups
two
back.
World Cups back,
Yeah.
right? And of course, there were the jokes of, oh, it looks like Africa won the World Cup
Mhm.
because, and I mean, when you look at that team, Kante, Pogba, Koma, whoever you want to go down the list, right? They all have their background in Africa.
Same as '98 squad.
It's exactly, even the great Zidane, even him, right? I mean, of course, French people didn't start calling him Algerian until the headbutt, but whatever.
Yeah.
That's a different one. But
If you
I
want.
think that's one of the most important things is to retain our youth and retain our players. Now, of course, I understand if you are, you're born in London to Ghanaian parents or born to Nigerian ones, and you have the chance to make it on a squad, even though, as we know about England, there are chances, who knows, but you get better equipment, better money. I understand that. But I think there is something really powerful about playing for your own squad or for your own national team. And that's why I think football is really the greatest sport in the world, because it is that perfect combination of not nationalism, because that is an exclusionary and
Yeah.
xenophobic way of thinking. It's about patriotism, of loving, of everything that you love about your country and wanting to do well for them. And also, believing in a certain pride and joy when it comes to your nation. So I think that's really the first thing Ghana can do, is to retain and to do well by their players. Again, I know they're competing against, world powers, whether they be England, France, wherever. But there has to be a real way of pulling. And I guess I'm even speaking of Nigeria as well. Like, wouldn't you love if Bukayo Saka could play for Nigeria?
It could. Well,
Right.
if Nigeria was
But
up.
that's what I'm saying, that they have to, get the best recruiters and just say that, hey, this is your homeland. Mario Balotelli is one of the biggest not disappointment, as in, because I understand what happened with his family and how they kind of let him go. But that's what I mean. Like, Ghana should have done everything in their power. Maybe maybe there's a story there that I don't know of, but should have done everything in their power to say, hey, we understand your father and your mother, they didn't do right by you. And you feel Italian, but Charlie, you're one of us. You're Italian. You're Ghanaian.
That's right.
And that's what I hope that Ghana, and really all these countries in Africa, can do. Again, it's a tall order to fight against, those colonial powers. But I think,
really.
I mean, that's why I think South America has had their success, because even though they go to play on their club teams, they make sure to get all of those people back. And they make sure to get all of their best players onto their team. Right? So you don't find Lionel Messi. And trust me, any team would make the papers and everything work if they're like, hey, you could play for Spain, you could play for Italy or something like that. That's what I think.
I hear you on that. However, there's a caveat there. The one thing that's always missing, and I tell people to always pay attention to the African countries that are doing it right, because it's not like the African countries that are doing it right. Morocco, South Africa, even Tanzania has been doing something. They've started the hard work. There's the long-term goal and there's the short-term goal. The Nigerians and the Nigeria, Ghana, even Senegal is doing the opposite, but it's more of the focusing on the Europe talent than the back home talent back home. Mali also in that category. Yeah, I think that's the problem with where the Ghana and Nigeria are now, because they started focusing on only people outside of home. You need to build something at home. So Morocco, Egypt, South Africa, they have like the strongest leagues on the continent. You can't be competing if you don't have something strong at home. So there are some kids who get rejected, like they reach out to, like Morocco has one of the best recruiting in Africa. Like Morocco gets players from, like the kid in Barcelona right now who chose Spain. Morocco doesn't waste their time. They move to the next one, like Brahim Diaz. I think there's rumors that he's going to sign with Morocco. He's going to move to Morocco. He'll play for Morocco. They get them. They're moving like that. They go like that quickly. But doesn't mean Morocco skips over players from their league. Doesn't mean they skip over Moroccans playing in other African leagues. They had players from Egypt when they went to the semifinal. There's Moroccans in South Africa. That's what they don't say. Oh, because we are going after players born in Europe, we skip over those at home. Ghana doesn't consider players at home. Nigeria doesn't even care about players at home. The Nigerian league is dead, completely dead. But you find Nigerians everywhere, and if you don't establish at home, and that's what South America has always had, they have their leagues at home. They always build their leagues at home. Messi, it was poverty. That's what Barcelona used to get him, because they paid for that surgery. It was a risk, and it worked out. But if they hadn't paid for that surgery, he would have been playing in the Argentinian league. So there was still a cushion there. So if an Argentinian club had chosen to pay for that surgery,
but he still decided to play for Argentina. Though,
yeah,
right.
But there was still something that he could go back to in Argentina. So that's why it's like, South America already has their leagues still going for them. So I think that's where we miss because like now Senegal is just raise kids, sell them to Europe, raise kids. But where's the Senegalese league? They have talent, but where's the league? You have Senegalese clubs challenging on the continent, but they have youth teams.
And that's why I pointed out that yes, they have a tall order. Playing teams like or going against clubs because hey, there's money, there's infrastructure, there's
but you got to do what Morocco is doing, because Morocco doesn't just do it for men only. There are men and women now. Moroccan Women's League is attracting players from Ghana and Nigeria. Listen to a Ghanaian international talk about when she left Ghana and she came to Morocco, and she's like, "Wow, this is like playing in Europe. Everything here is good. Everything is like, wow. Ghana their women football doesn't have anything." And I'm like, that's the problem. You have to, you don't have to pay like Europe. You can start laying the foundations. And once you start laying all these things, when you start reaching out to say, hey, choose Ghana, don't choose England. You have, when people look like, oh, what do you have at home? They see that, oh, it's not just, because now they don't have to feel like I'm too big. You see that you are competing with somebody, it raises the competition level. But now it feels like, oh, you need me. I'm too important. Without me, you can't survive. Then it changes the level, because if the person starts raising their shoulder too high, then you're like, okay, bye. That's what Morocco does. Morocco doesn't waste time on you. They're not begging you, like, okay, you say you don't want to play for us, that's fine. But we have a structure. You see their team, you're like, oh, man, I want to be part of this team. You start reaching out to them, like, hey, yeah, Spain is calling me, whatever. I want to play for you. Hakimi could have played for Spain, but he reached out to Morocco.
I like that.
And said, I want to play for you guys. I was born in Madrid, but I want to play for the country my parents came from. And that you have to start setting up stuff. You have to show them that I have something worth attracting the talent. Otherwise, you have to do extra preaching to say, oh, we have the name. Kwame Nkrumah did something in the 60s. Okay, but what are you doing now? Well, right now, what are you doing? Yeah, but Kwame Nkrumah built stuff in the 60s. Okay, yes, but what are you doing right now? Yeah, but we did stuff in the 60s, all Africa. Yeah, but right now, my guy.
And I mean, Ghana obviously was doing something correctly because of the way that we performed in the past.
In the past.
So
yeah,
I think we just need to get
Ghanaian clubs should be challenging South African clubs, should be challenging, but you see, how South Africa can rely on it, because their biggest international star, they claim it was mental health, and I'm not saying that wasn't true or not, but we don't really know. And South Africa couldn't say, oh, the whole country will stop. No, they're okay. If you say you have an issue, you don't want to come to AFCON, that's fine. Did they miss him? Probably yes, because they needed a striker like that. But they were fine.
Who is Victor?
Lyle Foster.
Okay,
so they were like, fine. If you say you need to take care of your head, but he was playing in the Premier League during AFCON.
Wow.
And they have built something. They have built a structure. So they just they came up with local players, and everybody's like, look at players. Yeah. People are just screaming. I'm like, yeah. Tunisia came local players, didn't succeed. Sometimes you won't succeed. But you have to believe in what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just, it might fail, but when you succeed, everybody's going to be like, wow. Egypt, the 7 times they've won, were they majority European-based stars? No.
Mm-hmm.
Their biggest star was Abutrika.
Mm-hmm.
No, Salah wishes to be like him now, right? So, yeah. So that's all I'll say. Well, we need to start wrapping up. You've given me a lot of your time. Now, that's what happens that's why I try not to bring up soccer here, because, So that's why I said I wasn't trying to make fun of black stars, because it relates to the whole continent, most of our teams, because there are a few teams doing the right thing right now. Mauritania, shout out to them. They use the FIFA grant money that all the federations have been getting. Mauritania actually built stuff with it. And you are seeing the team. It's beginning to. 10 years ago, they started. You're seeing the results coming up now. Started 10 years ago. Comoros, they started around the same time. So there are some smaller teams that they're not
Ghana,
challenging.
we know Comoros very well.
Yeah. Madagascar, there's Angola. So there are teams that are coming. But it takes time. There's always a short term, which you can just gather the bigger names from Europe and win right away. Or you can do the long term, like Morocco did. And when they achieved at the World Cup, the whole continent benefited from it.
Of course.
So, yeah. But we all benefit. So, everybody who's been on this podcast is considered a dancer. You can claim you don't dance, but we've heard you've already confessed. So, yeah, it's too late for that.
Okay.
So, we need you to give us 3 artists that can keep you dancing for an hour. We don't need to stand up and dance. We just need to give us 3 artists that can keep you dancing.
3 artists
for an hour. Now you can't come and start naming the most popular names. But if you give us that song, I Am My Shorty, one, that's all right. If you don't know that song, people be like, what? That's it's a classic.
Wow, that's yeah. I did not expect you to say that.
I'm full of surprises, man.
Yeah. My shorty, one.
I'm like the Beyonder.
Oh, very good. See, we didn't even get into nerd stuff. Okay.
Yeah. I have to save that for the next one.
Okay. 3 songs. Oh, 3 artists. Artists. Yeah. Oh, that's easy.
At least 3.
Okay, at least 3. Have you ever heard of J.W. Ambole?
Name sounds familiar, but I'm not sure.
He's Don Sumanak. Anyway,
is it High Life?
High Life guy, yeah.
Okay, I probably have.
Yeah, Jedu, Gyedu Ble Ambole. High Life King. Yeah, he's great. So yes, he could keep me dancing for a while.
Okay.
Let's see. Diana Ross. Why?
Where's the buzz at? Buzz. That's amongst the most popular names.
That's considered a popular name.
Yeah.
That's fair.
She's legendary right there.
Okay.
But
okay, so AKA people you don't know. That's what you mean. Because if you said that in Ghana,
I know most of the names.
We will know.
But people, the audience won't know.
Okay.
I think somebody has mentioned Diana Ross before, too.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. So let me say.
No, I don't think we've gotten Ghanaian women musicians before. So, yeah. Man, getting all of the love.
Miss Bell. MZBEL. I be 16 years. I would be like this, so if you tell my
man, it's been ages. Golly.
So, Miss Bell, yeah, she's got some great ones.
I was in Nigeria. And
Oh, see, you guys like to just take everything. Charlie, let us have
there's not me.
Go steal
I was
everything.
enjoying the song.
So there's one, and then okay, yeah. If I'll just keep it together. No. Actually, let me go to Kofi Olomide.
Kofi Olomide. Oh man, that is cheating there. That's cheating right there.
How?
But
how's it cheating?
That's a legend. That's a popular guy.
That's a popular guy.
I love Kofi Olomide.
But here's the thing. When it comes to, so I'll admit, especially African genres, is high life because, but then the next one is Dombolo. So if not that, extra musica. If not that,
extra musica. I got them on my favorite playlist.
If not that, JP Imbiana. If not that one, Extra Musica. If not, trust me, Congo, the Kanda Bongo man.
Congo is it.
Whoever.
Man. Congo is it. They were the guys that brought me into music.
Yeah, Sukus, Pepe Kale, all of that.
Hey.
So trust me.
Hey.
That's the right next to High Life is that one. Yeah.
You know what? I'll keep them on. I'll keep them. And Congo has a soft spot in my heart.
There we go. Yes. Especially considering what's going on.
My late uncle on Sundays will be like, put something on. Put something on. Yeah. Elder from church, they were putting on slow jams. Yeah. Like, man, we don't put church. We've heard church music already in church. What are you people still playing 1 hour of church music? Put something on. His wife would put on Elton John.
Oh,
that's how I knew that all this homophobic talk is only when they want to be homophobic, they'll be homophobic.
Right.
The guy will be like, okay, 1 hour have passed. We have heard all this slow music. Put hot something.
Hot something.
I say, okay, uncle, what do you want? You want something that will be shaking something like Awilo or give me that coffee.
Yes.
I say, on Sunday,
I
thought Sunday is when everybody be performing Good Neighbor and be playing church song from 12 to 7 p.m. No, this man will be like, man, until his pastor came to visit one evening and his son quickly took off the DVD. He's like, what are you doing? I will slap you. He said, shh, pastor's outside. Oh, good boy. All right, so you've lived in Ghana, Wisconsin, visited other places. When it comes to your go-to cuisine, do you stick to your swallow from Ghana, or is there something else that you go to? Do you betray somewhere else? Are you going to betray somebody and tell me what your favorite cuisine?
I have to shout out Accra Restaurant, right?
Okay.
Accra Restaurant in Harlem.
Okay.
It's on 125th and somewhere on the east side because they also have Accra Papaya and another
Papaya
one.
is my own.
Okay. Yeah. Wait, that's
in the Bronx.
Yeah, but it's not Nigerian.
It's Ghanaian.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I had to be, you guys sometimes you like to come and dance, take some,
all you've heard about me, you're still adding me to the people who be claiming everything. I eat everything, man.
So
number one, my favorite swallow is right there.
There you
Papaya.
go. So
it's a long journey.
So that's true. So their peanut butter soup,
which we call granite.
Okay, yeah. Peanut butter soup with their fufu is top notch. And the mixed meats.
So you prefer mixed meat to goat meat?
Mixed meats, yeah.
Okay.
Because I like to have the different, let's see. That one is I tell you, I'm already salivating. I'm already thinking.
It's the right weather. It's the right weather. I feel I might just end up cooking that too. I don't know.
Hey,
I'll just go to my butcher and say, give me some.
There you go. That's it.
Moroccan.
And that's a beautiful thing. See, that's why people don't understand. There's light soup, there's pepper soup, there's okra soup. There's soups.
Mm-hmm.
We have the soups, but here, chicken noodles. Anyway,
don't discriminate like that, man. Come on. I still do that too.
That's fine. But ours are. That's all I'm saying. Ours are better. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Light soup. Okay. Even the Nigerian
the views of Kwesi are the views of Kwesi, not the views of white label America.
That's fine.
It's okay.
Egusi. I mean, all these things. Contemporary.
You see, I was being nice to him when he was crying about black stars. You see,
The tears were being shed. It's fine.
you see all these people. Anyway, my brother, how you say thank you? In your language.
Nação.
Nesang.
Nação.
Nesang.
Or ape.
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 Okay, that because the first one sounded like Nissan. So
Yeah. But yeah,
sure
Nação.
Nissan. Ape.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Ape for coming here and spending time with me.
This was fantastic.
Yeah, this was great. We gotta do a part 2.
Okay.
Again. Yeah, one of these days.
That can definitely happen.
Yeah. So, final question: what would you like to leave the audience with? It's your freestyle moment.
Freestyle moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kwesi Foli, as he already said. Please check out my podcast, African Time, the podcast. They're streaming now. Our social media, African Time Pod, all together. And we have the Instagram, we have the TikTok, and then on YouTube, it's the same thing, African Time Pod, African Time, the podcast. And yeah, I think that's basically it.
Okay, I was going to ask after that for plugins, but you.
Oh, okay. I jumped right to it. That's how us Black Stars work. We go right to the point. We get right to it.
That works. That works.
To the plug.
All right. So appreciate everyone. Don't forget, if you have let us know you enjoy this. If you enjoyed this conversation, writing, give us 5-star reviews on Apple or your podcasting platforms, and go check out my brother's podcast and support his podcast, please. And support him too, so he can go visit, go for a year of return part 2, and give us more content. Awesome content.
I might not return.
Oh, okay. Well, he can give us content from Ghana too. We are in the new age of technology.
Relax.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
a wrap.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoyed the show, please give a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. You can follow the show on all social media platforms. Visit the White Label American website for links for donations, episodes, feedback, guests, merch, and newsletter. Don't forget to download the free White Label American app on the Google Play Store and Apple coming soon. Thank you for the privilege of your company.